what it was. Y'all know who it is, and y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge Itself, and I figured I'd put y'all down with a little cosmic insight for the day, and say, man, it's hump day, and shit's about to get interesting. Matter of fact, it's about to get deep and interesting because we're going to jump back into this Pluto series. And for those of y'all that are new to my channel and those of y'all that just started fucking with me, hey man, we already dropped a little something on those people that have Pluto in the first house of their natal chart. And I suggest y'all go check that out because I have Pluto in the first house of my natal chart. And, you know, it's also one of my most crucial videos, man. And it's actually my favorite. And I just suggest you go check it out, especially if you know somebody that has that placement, man, because it's on some trill shit. But this time, you know, it ain't me. It's you. So this going to be a little something about those people that have Pluto in the 7th house of their natal chart. But before I even go there, you know, even though it gets on your nerves, I'm going to give y'all a little information about Pluto in astrology, and I also give a little information about the 7th house in astrology. So with that being said, let's get it cracking. In astrology, Pluto is what I like to call the great revealer, because wherever Pluto is in your chart, there's pretty much often a very dark night before the dawn, man. Pluto is about power, magnetism, death, depth, sex, transformation, rebirth, you know, regeneration, domination. Pluto resides in the primordial ooze of your character, man. And it brings on mind purging regeneration by releasing buried power from core truths. Yeah. Pluto for me is the planet of creative destruction. Did you hear me? I said creative destruction. In your birth chart, Pluto shows the areas of life you'll personally face the intense power creation through destruction. It's the vessel through which little compressed pockets of magic and spirit and primal energy kind of lie in wait to be activated either by self or outside traumatic events, you know. And it's because of this that Pluto's power is often feared. The thing is, though, wherever it is in your chart, it can put you in a showdown between your greatest fears of being destroyed and the pursuit of whatever your heart longs for the most. And even as your ego holds on to its defenses, you know, Pluto is going to force you to let go and surrender. That's what it does. It takes control. So what's the 7th house of the zodiac? The 7th house is commonly referred to as the house of partnerships because with this house, we kind of see a shift away from self toward another. And by cooperating with and relating to another, we unite for the purpose of achieving something which is, you know, much greater than ourselves, you know. And it's here in the 7th that it shows us that partnerships can take on many forms, like marriages, business relationships, legal contracts, negotiations and agreements. And, you know, it can also show how shit will go to a certain extent with them. It's here that we also answer questions like, why do we choose these particular relationships? Is it for love or is it for money? Or, you know, is it for practical reasons or even social considerations? There are many reasons for uniting with another. And, you know, it's usually to find balance or to fill a void within ourselves. But either way, the 7th wants us to know the quality of our partnerships and know that they can really greatly enhance the quality of our experience here on this plane. And even the tensions within a partnership can also serve to teach us major lessons. And, you know, the way the planets placed here, they can also speak to the energies we have to work with in that area of life. And I can also say that whatever planets are in the 7th is probably shit that is being projected on to your partner from you. So that's what you got going on. And understand that the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th are considered angular houses. They're probably the 4 most important houses. But, you know, that's all subjective to whoever you're asking. And that is what it is. It's ruled by Libra and Venus. And so, what about those people that have Pluto in the 7th house of their natal chart? Well, as I said before, the planets that are in the 7th, they kind of project onto the partner. And so typically what we see here is an individual who doesn't feel like they have a lot of power in this life. They might even feel helpless or innocent, but they're going to constantly end up in relationships with motherfuckers who embody darker energies. And in the worst cases, we're going to find somebody who always jumps into shit where they end up being submissive or controlled and dominated and manipulated and probably even abused by their partners, or vice versa. They're the ones doing the shit. Either way, their relationships are usually based on power struggles or that push and pull type shit, which that can definitely be passionate and intense as a motherfucker, but it's also going to be draining and probably toxic than a bitch too, man. And that's just being real. And even when the Pluto in the 7th house person gets sick of the shit and decides to abstain from relationships altogether, that energy is still going to find a way to sneak back in one way or the other until they deal with the inner conflict within. Pardon me. And on another note, these people really crave deep emotional ties with people, and they display a sense of responsibility that I say is very rare, especially these days. But the contradiction that they have stems from the need to be in an all-consuming relationship and the feeling that they're enclosed in a cage with no breathing space when they in the motherfucker. It's a trip. 7th house Pluto motherfuckers have a deeply ingrained fear that other motherfuckers are trying to control them, which is always going to cause a lot of conflicts and arguments, or it might even make them resort to emotional manipulation themselves to try to keep control of the situation. And it also could lead to a lot of it, you're not going to run over me, I'm going to run over you type shit. Which that's bullshit, man. That ain't good for any of the motherfucking parties involved. But it is what it is. And until they find themselves within themselves and stop looking for themselves in others, the transformation won't be able to begin. Another thing is, these motherfuckers are usually attracted to action-oriented, aggressive, and unusual motherfuckers that, you never know what the fuck they're gonna do next. And even if their partner doesn't expose that part of themselves initially, it's like something in that Pluto in the 7th house motherfucker stirs up crazy in other motherfuckers. And it triggers the most primitive and aggressive parts of them without even trying, which it could be exhilarating sexually, but ultimately fucked up in dangerous form emotionally and maybe even physically when you fuck with people's emotions like that, even without meaning to. They play a big part in this extra shit, though. I could say that. So don't get it twisted. They ain't no motherfucking perpetual victims or anything like that. Cause it's usually their little funky ass attitudes that cause a lot of this foolishness, which that attitude itself stems from the major abandonment issues that they constantly deal with since childhood, probably. This fear causes them kind of to tighten up their grip and start tripping over everything and manipulating, and it's in an attempt to gain control of the situation by imposing their will. But it's also in turn kind of wakes up the monster that lies dormant within their partner, and it starts a fucking vicious cycle. This is one of the most vicious cycles, cause I have Pluto in the 1st house, and if I'm gonna be dealing with somebody with Pluto in the 7th, it's a mug. And I say that the whole gist of the situation, it lies in the fact that the 7th house Pluto motherfucker is still unsure of who the fuck they are themselves. So, it's really an identity crisis from the lack of a spiritual basis, of personal principles that they don't have themselves to use as the guidance that kind of has them stuck in these same toxic ass abusive relationships. But, through tumultuous experiences and failures, they'll eventually come to a place where they know what the fuck they want and how the fuck to actually appreciate it. And hey, that's a magnificent transformation, because self-worth, you don't settle for less anymore. You don't. So to sum this shit up though, These folks look on relationships as being a formative and healing process through which they can manage to awaken something within themselves. And eventually, when they realize the shit that they're receiving is actually just the shit they're projecting, then healthy transformation can actually begin. And as time goes on, they kind of finally understand how to react and express their fears and emotions healthily. Shit will also get better once they do that. I can say that. It always will. And in being better for them, their relationships will also greatly improve, of course. And when this also happens, because they typically end up with a strong-willed motherfucker that's in a process of growth themselves, that kind of forces them to change or shit ain't gonna work out. And hey, man, that is what it is. You just got to deal with it, because as I've told y'all, Pluto serves it to you cold, man. And speaking of cold, Pluto in the 7th house people are usually strongly adverse to openly expressing their emotions, and would kind of rather solve everything through analyzation and reasoning and then logic. And until they allow themselves to access those deep Plutonian energies, you know, they're always going to be stuck in them same old cycles. And fuck that, man. Y'all deserve better, man. So give yourself better. Just understand that you got to look in the mirror first, okay? And it don't matter where you have Pluto at. Just because you're built like that, don't mean you have to build like that. You understand? There's been some priceless knowledge itself. I appreciate all the love and support, man. If you're interested in astrological readings whatsoever, you can either hit me up in the comments below or email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And hey, man, if you fucking with me, like, share, and subscribe. Even if you ain't fucking with me and you like the video a little bit, hit that like button and get me out there on this algorithm so I can help everybody else. Even if you don't like the video that much and you think I'm pretty cool. Hey, man, subscribe. Go join my Facebook group. Hit that like button. Help me help somebody else out. Until in a little bit, when I hit y'all with a little something about those people that have Pluto in the 4th house of their natal chart, y'all keep it real, man. Because I am.